This video contains some amazing things. Ensk is one of the smallest maps in the game, tied with White Park and, of course, Overlord. Being 600 meters by 600 meters, you'll find that a great deal can transpire very quickly east or west of these time-worn tracks. Perhaps that's why I have 2 replays to show you, each striving to impart the same lesson. Knowledge is power. If you only ever acquire vision for the sake of spotting damage alone, then you betray a core principle of scouting. No, I love more than my even 90. Knowledge. Because War of the Tanks is a game of numbers. Think of it this way. If you are sitting, dwelling there in your light tank, and you suddenly activated a skill that let you know where every enemy tank is on the entire map, you also, conversely, know where every tank is not. Where every hole emerges and every avenue that offers opportunity lies. A fundamental of much of my gameplay relies upon subtracting from 15. In this game, I spotted 10 enemy vehicles progressing towards the town, therefore I know there is a maximum of 5 enemy vehicles on the east of the map, ergo we have a tank advantage. Though do appreciate, War of the Tanks is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Most of the time, if you have a tank advantage on one flank, you'll have a disadvantage on the other. And that's why speed and decisive action becomes key. Either balance out the disadvantage or support your advantage, and do it faster than the enemy. That's exactly what myself and Ian have done this game. We immediately recognised the game state and acted upon it. It's entirely possible that had we not, we would have lost this game due to their numerical superiority in the town. I see very often people complaining about receiving no support on a flank. I've been guilty of it myself. It goes without saying that if you have 14 tanks on one side, you should push that advantage rather than play the hero in the face of overwhelming odds. The key here is that the more vehicles are spotted, the easier and clearer this logic becomes. If you embrace the idea of subtracting from 15 as a core of your gameplay, you'd be shocked at how much it impacts. Positioning can be tailored simply by counting tanks that are spotted, and at times not seeing tanks is as enlightening as its antithesis. In this game, much like the previous, I was prompted into action by the skewed investment of the enemy. Fair to say, had I been less decisive, this may have been significantly less embarrassing of an experience for the enemy team. Both of these games were won because of knowledge. Now I can promise you that one of the most valuable skills you can learn in the game is to count to 15 and then subtract from it. The AMX 13105 is not a Batchat, which is the second worst thing about it. The first being that it has 10 meters worse view range than the Batchat does, because wargaming are dumb. Here we are on Sand River, a map that I've recently had to adapt my gameplay on due to the north being made somewhat irrelevant by changes down west. This game, however, takes place before those changes, so here I am, gallivanting about the middle trying to acquire information, support where I can, and keep myself safe and alive until the late stage of the game. While that should always be your objective, it's especially important in autoloaders. The more hit points you have, the more engagements and trades become viable to you.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
Not a terrible player. Why would anyone send me this gameplay? I do not enjoy watching gameplay with complete balance. Now, YouTube content comes with the implicit expectations of showcasing the remarkable, being as saturated a medium as it is, only by being remarkable can one rise above the oceanic mass of creators and content alike. Now, I don't resent that, well, its inevitability on such a platform. I do, however, recognise that it does sap some manner of tension from what is being presented. If you show the average to those who expect the pinnacle, then woe betide you indeed. Each of you watching, I hope, knows that I wouldn't sully the gift of your time with anything I deemed undeserving. My nipples, for instance, being a fine example of many things. It's said that it's not the destination so much as the journey. So while yes, we may sit here observing this M4A1 rambunctiously ramming his head repeatedly into the stubborn misshapen corpse of this Japanese behemoth, Mr. Bond, no one expects you to die. But an audience is captured not in wonder of will he escape, but instead of how. Isn't that a clutch of the matter? Will it be by the efforts of his friendly T-54? Nope. Or perhaps at the whim of this utter jackass? Also no. No, it's not until after our friendly Blunikum acquires -1 kills, after the T-54 perishes, after his last remaining ally, the RT, is torn asunder, that Blungo Crunchen manages to free himself. Not enough time to cap, and 1 heat shell remaining. He emerges gingerly into the east, a tenuous grasp on his sensibilities compromised as the timer ticks down into the 40s and he spies his foe. For in the east, the battle like from the west, who is quicker to draw? Logic would favour the target, drama would favour the adversary, and if karma rewarded tenacity, then Virgo indeed will reap the victory. That was a very sexy game indeed. I did it! Undoubtedly my most famous game, myself and Ian in even 90s, the single most innovative and incredible invader medal you've ever seen, topped off with a side of Ian and a nice Kolobanov sauce. Jingles described it as
not only the best invaders medal I have ever seen. In 10 years of covering World of Tanks, it's also the cheekiest Kolobanov's medal.
It inspired many a viewer to pick up the vehicle and attempt to emulate the feat, while of course enjoying the quirks of the vehicle in the pursuit. The one disappointing thing about that game was this shot on the WZ. Although potentially necessary as Ian only had one more shot, firing that shot and having Ian join me in the cap circle cost me one of the rarest medals in the entire game. The Raider. To acquire this medal, you have to remain undetected throughout the entire battle and be the only player who captures the base. This was mentioned in the comments of Jingles' video on the game. And for all those people who have tried to mimic and emulate, for all the people who are inspired by this meme, no one, to my knowledge, has actually done it. No one has managed to stay undetected the entire game, never leave the cap circle, be the only one who captures the base, acquire 100 base capture points and cap the entire Nuremberg cap circle right in front of the enemy team. But I did. I did exactly that. Now, I've recorded this game and put a link to where you can download it in the description because it's an old patch replay. Because if anyone wants to do a commentary video on it or use it in some other way, be my guest. I love when people use stuff that I produce in a transformative manner. And I thoroughly believe that this game deserves to be seen by a wider audience. I did send it to Jingles believing, as I still do, that he can do a far better job of commenting on it than I can. I simply don't have the gravitas or comedic timing to give it. Good example, tape measure, right? I was measuring my dick with it earlier. Generally, my comedy that I aim for is about here. Where's Jingle? Well, he's old. But enough about Jingles' old crap flaccid penis. Let's take a look back in time to when the game was simpler. The IS-20 wasn't a retarded example of Russian bias, and all chat learned funny as a bird. Zek finds himself thrust into a difficult position. Just the SU, the STA, and the RT against the Patton, the Panther, the Hellcat, and the enemy artillery. Luckily, the SU just happens to have premium heat shells with 20mm better pen than the premium 183mm high explosive squash head shells of the Death Star, because brilliant, comrade! Kills the Patton, the STA dies, he kills the Panther, then he kills the what the hell is he doing cat, and begins driving towards the enemy base. He asks the enemy arty if they can settle this like men. Nah. Well, at least he's honest. I'm staying safe in base. Are you really? We all know what's gonna happen. Still gonna be funny. Now, I don't know. Genuinely, I really don't know if I'm the kind of person that says GG 12 seconds before the game ends, purely because I'm acutely aware of the possibility that this exact shit would most likely happen to me. And that result screen should be laminated, framed, and hung on the nearest fucking wall.